in trying to address gender-based violence.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Halima, for that. Just, you not talk about everything, Seth. You just touch base on the small side, because knowing the Halima, where we know where it's him out for talk and introducing himself. Wow. All he did do now for just say wow. But anyway, we'll come to that.
Thank you.
Right. I will come to we next guest when Mariatu Kaloko. Good evening and welcome to Diasporal Voices. And Mariatu, just introduce yourself and then just tell people them a little bit about yourself, please.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Good evening, ladies of the panel. Wow, Auntie Halima, I must say, wow. When I grow up, I want to have all the descriptions that you have just said. Absolutely amazing, fantastic. You've encouraged me, you've empowered me already. I haven't even heard a quarter about you, but thank you.
We're gonna learn about each other today.
Thank you. So my name is Mariatu Maria. I'm from Reading. Currently, I work for my local authority. So I work with vulnerable children and families, early help. I've been doing that for about 14 years. It's an absolute passion. I love it. I love to be in the heart of helping vulnerable children, families, women, in a situation where they don't see a way out, basically. And my job is my passion. I absolutely love it. People ask me, why do I do it? Sometimes you can relate to people's issues. You can have empathy for them. And that's what keeps you going. That's what drives me to do my job. Apart from the job that I do, I'm also a mum, which I've been for over 2 years now. And it's an absolute dream of mine, an absolute dream. So, but I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit about that later. So thank you for having me on this panel. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Mariatu. Thank you. And then we come to we own personal person. We personal person. Why? Well, people as I can see, lovely panel tonight. That Mumaya, trust me, when they talk, you see them, you just think, oh, this is not just woman them and all that stuff then they, but trust me, some of them then they carry the what would I say? They can even do more than men. No disrespect to us, but they can do more than men. Wow, we come to our next guest when Anna Kai Davis. Anna, thank you very much for we left you busy schedule and make it possible for be on this platform tonight. I know this day is very important to you guys and all that. Can you just introduce yourself to the guest? Then we can talk about the other parts of the show tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, guests. Good evening, ladies. Happy International Women's Day. It's a fantastic opportunity for us to be here. My name is Hannah Kai Davis. I am a passionate maths teacher. I go with the tag Educate the Child, Build the Nation. It's not mine, but I just strongly believe that's the foundation of everything that we do in society, in the diaspora and back home. I'm a maths teacher. I'm a mum. I wear many hats, but my passion is education. I can wake up from my sleep and I'll be I can talk about education. I'm just gonna say my focus today. Let's talk about education and let's talk about how we can build women up so that we are working together with men. I think when we talk about International Women's Day, it's like, oh, we just signposting women, but I don't think it's a battle. I just think that we all can work together. We just have to learn to appreciate one another. And sometimes, like Ishu said, sometimes a woman is stronger in one department than a man. That's not a disrespect. It's just the way it is. And we just have to learn to just work together and support one another.
Thank you very much, Anna Kai Davis. Thank you. Right. Tonight, audience, they listen to we This program, they come up from Diasporal Voices, so you can tune in, you can call in and engage with the guests tonight. But tonight we get very important people at the platform. It's Women's Day, International Women's Day. And tonight we just want to talk about three key things and way they affect we in our country. Basically education, human rights, and then uplifting women. We talk about this International Women's Day. We're so happy to talk about this International Women's Day. But let's go back from 1961. We go back to history, the likes of the Ella Koblo and all the great women then were don't actually pass and to now. And 20 years back, some people they far ahead, some countries they far ahead of we, but now it's like we're going back. So tonight we're lucky to have someone like Halima, who is an activist. I mean, like she covers a whole lot of ground where they try for empower women, bring so many changes into women's life. So Halima, if I come to you, what in this day actually mean to you?
For me, because International Women's Day na 365 days of the year. But on this particular day is almost like a reflection for me, because we did look back at all the days that we don't work for that 364 days of the year and ask ourselves as activists, campaigners, advocates, what we don't achieve so far, and for the stuff we achieve, we celebrate today. And for the things that we've not yet achieved, what we do is to call out, and which is why I love the theme of this year, which is choose to challenge, because we don't set motions in place, we don't put strategies, we don't address policies, we don't get call for action, we don't demand for change, we don't say equality is human right, women's right is human right. But honestly, when you look 100 years since, or let's say 25 years since the Beijing conference, where this sort of conversation came about by a German woman who said, no, we needed some day where we go come together as a collective, as countries, communities worldwide, where a focus is placed on the issues that are faced by women, because majority of women at that time when this conversation came to be, were working unpaid. Most of the times you're in informal jobs or housewives with great ability, but sadly, women's roles within the home self were not recognized. Back in the day, a woman go for apply for jobs and go say, "Where's the letter for your husband? Has your husband given you permission?" Or you want to go open a bank account, you had to have the permission of your husband. In some countries, like in the Arab world, for example, Saudi Arabia, you needed a man to even come with you because they not believe, say, you walking as a woman to go places, you go able for do certain things. Then you come now to the continent of Africa, who say we come out as African people because majority of we here are from Africa, where to this day, women still don't have access to education. Women still don't have access to what we call full and comprehensive health, you know, where a majority of we women then still they born in the houses and still they born in rural settings. They're like upline women and not get access for cancer in a hospital setting where they go get access to a doctor or a midwife. So we still there a long way off. But today it's just putting that spotlight on the situation and using this opportunity for let we go scream loud, because as such, politicians, governments, states, everywhere they listen to women on this particular day. You go often see a president of a country go come out and make a statement because you have to. It's enshrined in law, in constitutions around the world that we set aside this day as a day of recognizing the role of women. And what have we achieved as a country? In the case of Sierra Leone, we see today we president announced affirmative action. A bill is being passed, and recognizing the fact that they don't pull out a new policy, we go bring women there into sort of par with men. So today is that particular day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Halima. Thank you for that brief summary there. Well, I go come to Anna White. I know Halima don't touch base on the importance of this day today. I mean, how I feel about this day, but waiting this actually day means to you, this International Women's Day.
For me, International Women's Day is just about recognizing my sisters, knowing that we are a sisterhood. Sometimes we get into our own bubble, like this COVID have taught us, and we're just in our bubble. We're just concentrating about our family, our country, our friends. When in essence, we need to work together as one sisterhood, having one goal, which is to empower, educate, and making sure that um, our girl child, because they are the ones that eventually turn out to be the women of the future. Making sure that our girl child know that they have the power and they have the liberty to be who they want to be and to be successful at it without having any barriers placed upon them. It's a day for our governments all around the world to recognize that they have to, these women, girls, they are their children, and, the archaic rules that we have about a woman is beneath a man. It's about crying out loud so that all men can see that it's not just about today, but on this day, let's just recognize that we have come far. And I think I read a quote today, like the normal cliche that said, "Behind every successful man, there's a successful woman." And I believe the person said, "Why don't we just start celebrating the women? Why do we have to talk about them being behind a successful man? Why don't we just, celebrate that they have achieved? And sometimes it's the man that's behind them, the man that's given them the will to achieve." I think we've just celebrated one of our sisters, Isata, and she was gracious in saying that, what, I am able to be who I am and be as successful as I am because my husband is behind me and he is supporting me. So it's not just about this day and only this day. It's about everyone recognizing that, sisters around the globe, I'm here with you. I support you. It might seem as if that we're all fighting different things, but I believe in my heart of heart that we're all fighting the same thing. And if we can just make sure that we put that at the forefront of our government, and especially I'm talking about Sierra Leone, I think the world will be a better place, not just for our future, for the next generation when we're no longer here.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you. Why? I come now to the next guest, when I'm Maria Tukaloko. Obviously, I know you're all excited about this International Women's Day, and you guys are. I don't make so much mark because before they get small voices of women, right? And women were seen of people where then just they for dinner host and do the household work and all that, not going to school, not the men, they didn't even allow the woman them for actually engage in anything. They see them as just a house material. Now, una break that barrier, a lot of una don't break them barriers, and they now women voice are heard all over the world. So what's in this day actually mean to you?
I think for me, it's just an opportunity for kind of reflect, and admire the wonderful woman them that's not even celebrities or women that have been, but for me, it's women around me, the women that have empowered me. I would say women like my grandmother, who's still alive, up to today, alive, healthy and well, and my mother, who is just the most amazing, most phenomenal woman that I've known. She's raised me to be this strong young lady, and sitting back and just reflecting on that, how far my mother has come after everything she's been through. I'm like, wow, if my mom can do it and she's fueled that into me, and so can I. And now that I have my daughter, who is a year and a half, I look at her and think, if you're as strong as your grandmother and you're going to be as strong as your mother, and you have those two, imagine what you could become. You're not just going to be seen as a marital ingredient or a childbearing woman. No, I want you to think behind your name, behind what you could become. And I think as well as society in a whole having to support women, I think at the same time, I think Hannah touched on that. We as women also have to empower each other. We have to uplift each other. We have to encourage each other. If you see Sister Debian, go behind her, lift her up. But a lot of the time in our community, I'm sorry to say, that does not happen, and it's heartbreaking. And we need to get out of this thing where, oh, we're no problem. Why should I help them? Why shouldn't you? Why should you not be your sister's keeper? So I think that as a whole, we need to really stop and think, whatever would they do now? We begin again for can copy, you know? If my mom wasn't as firm and as strong as she was, I don't think I'll be as strong as I am today. Yes, my father played a role, absolutely, you know, absolutely. But my mother, she's not a force to be reckoned with. She's just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I wouldn't be the person that I am without her. And I want years to come for my daughters to say, wow, my mother did right just by me, you know? So we have got a long way to go, especially with the young people, the young girls of today. My God, we've got a long way to go. We have a lot of work to do, a lot of work to do with our young girls today.
Thank you, Mariatu, thank you. Right, I come back to our own activists, you know. Halima, we've seen the work.
Can I please just raise a point? Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
You said that women, it's now that we're getting a voice. I don't think that it's now that women are getting a voice. I think women's voice has always been the loudest. And you know, as the wife, men will always say, oh, she nagged, she this, she that. Women have always had like a really big voice. It's now that we've been given the platform. Not that we should have been given it, but it's now that we've been given that platform. But I believe that you know in your household that yes, dad goes out, but you know that it's your mom that everyone fears, you know. So we have been given that platform now, and it's up to us to make good use of it. But a woman has always had the loudest voice, you know. So I just thought that we should just get that point right. You know, we've been up and we're trying to get out.
Thank you, Anna, for that contribution. But I am looking at it. We within at the West, yeah. You can speak up, you can say whatever you want to say. But when we go back from cultural background back home in like places like Sierra Leone, you go to the provinces and all that, the voices where una woman and get now this part of the world, our mothers and aunties out there, they don't have those voices. When the husband says you're not going to school, you're not going to school. When the husband says at the age of 12, I'm going to give you out for you married, you have to, you don't say anything. So there's still a lot of women that out there where they suffer, where I'm sure people like Halima with the work when they do a fantastic job for make sure say, and try for mitigate all them things, for make sure say then pass the message across. But it's just we're still not there yet. We're still not there. So Halima, in terms of your work and engagement with different organizations, in terms of like the government and all that, how best can you actually push this thing for make sure say our girls get the education where they're supposed to get? They make sure that when they reach the age of going to school, they go to school, they don't push them into early marriages and all these kind of things.
I think thank you so much for that. A very, very important question. And obviously, Hannah already touched on that. You know, so for we as activists and advocates and even policy and lobbyists like us, when we lobby governments, we're lobbying organizations where we think there is a key role that a government can play. In the case of Sierra Leone, for example, we know there has been many, many barriers that we don't stand in front of women there. Some of these barriers, we'll never even get to see them. They're invisible barriers, but they are there nonetheless. But waiting we they ask, for example, like government, just go a little bit further, provide the necessary means that would allow girls to stay in school. So you can see, for example, obviously, yes, now the current administration don't put in place free quality education. yes, it has come from the government, but it has also come from the rallying call from international and partners and international governments to say, we as donors have been paying so much, like the World Bank, for example, the IMF, the United Nations have been saying, for decades we've been investing in countries like the developing world, like Sierra Leone, always on the bottom of the index where they say a child at 5 will die before they're 5 years old. You're more likely to die a year old. So all these statistics have always been there. And obviously a true example or true evidence that we're lacking in some areas in terms of social mobility, where girls will move further than boys. We know, for example, through countries that in the West or in the UK, we know when girls go to school, they're more likely to achieve far better than boys, but somehow they reach to a level of attainment, they step back and you don't know what the reasons are. Then you see, even with that challenge they are now already, but there is still progress in those countries. So it's the same rule that applies to Sierra Leone, because when you look in Sierra Leone, overall about 87% of the population are illiterate and not at school. So it's almost like we're beginning, we're like baby steps at the moment. But then when you look at countries like Nigeria or Kenya, where almost 87% of the people are literate. Do you understand what I mean? So we are a long way off. You go see 3-4 generations of Nigerian women are highly educated. But if you look at the comparison to that same level of women in Sierra Leone, my granny no go school, my granny and granny no go school, my mama maybe go school, but in your mama no go school. So you see, I'm like the second generation in that female line of succession. We don't go school, we don't reach to the highest level of education. So we are a long way off. So, but what do we ask of individuals, not just the government? I think because for far too long, we've been putting emphasis on just the role of government. For we as activists and campaigner, every Sierra Leonean has a responsibility, because it is within us for challenge with government, challenge society to say, why do you keep girls at school? Why make you feel say the Bobo for go school, the Titina for go? You get some community then at Sierra Leone, some rural places then like upline, where the Titina ain't they go na farm, they go work. Where they don't work na the farm from an early age, they go sell, let's say for example, cassava. The money they pull panda cassava and then they pay for the boy picking for go school. Then the Titina, they go school. Then when they reach some 10, 11 year old, they go get into some old man for married, because the papa then go say, I don't get money for look after him, but you get money for look after the boy. Because the bobona ain't go end up, they live around the home. Then the titingo don't go off to man at a 10, 11 year old. Then that titi go get pregnant, go born maybe 10, 15 pikin before they realize. So you see how the circle of poverty and stagnancy in that community alone derives from the fact that we have left girls behind. Because if you look at their community, then they let's say, for example, me I come on Maboroka, so I go use neighboring villages around Maboroka. Let's say, for example, Mabonto. Sometimes if you go to Mabonto, one teacher, the teacher more likely for be a man. Then you ask, so where the ODTT there? Maybe 20% or 30% of the female population in that community have never been to school. And if they go to school, maybe they'll go even only start them and tap na class 3 or class 4, because by the time they reach class 6, when are then 10, 11 year old, sometimes they don't get into man for married. So you can see without progress in those communities, we will be abject poverty. We will be poor, dependent, and for whatever reason, our politicians are happy to see us in those positions. Now that make we are not able to challenge the status quo where they ask in the West, for example, because more people are highly educated, more people are thinking forward thinking. So then go question politicians when you bring a project in the neighborhood and go say, no, is this value for money? Is this actually for the community? In the West, we will challenge that even within deprived neighborhoods like London, Peckham, and in South London or in Enfield, where I'm at, we can challenge, but we don't see that happening in majority of we poor countries in Africa. So I think this is where as a society, and this is what women, my brother, have been leading that way. If you look in the world of activism in Sierra Leone, majority has been women. Now women, they don't call for the changes the way we see today. But sadly, when women call for change, we pass on the the baton to man, thinking that man will represent us, because for like what you say in our community there, the tradition saying a man there for lead. But when the man they now take what we don't work hard for, where they go there now, they need to think about what the woman they need anymore. Now what in the man need, immediate need. So men egos have been sort of the things that have been perpetuating this delay in our advancement as women. So we have a long way, but we don't come a long way as well. You know, in the 61 years or 60 years of independence, as a country, we don't come a long way. We somehow, I don't know why, and I think this is where I want to hear from my younger sisters, and in terms of sisterhood, why would they go back 10 steps behind when we've come so far? You understand? Like we are they fight for independence. They've been this independent-minded women. Then you can get with generation where we don't go back to patriarchy and accepting that patriarchy is right for us. And I don't get that. So, but I'll leave it there for now.
Thank you, Alima. Thank you. Why? Anna Mariatu Nadoye within Alima say and all that stuff. So Mariatu, what's your take based on within Alima just touch on?
Why are we going behind? To be honest with you, I couldn't tell you the reason why. But all I know is that change needs to happen. And that change could only come from people like us that will be bold enough to stand up and say, you know what, enough is enough. Something needs to happen. Something needs to change. And just, again, working with different people, you know, working with the God. Technically, yes, the government has a lot to do in Sierra Leone. But I think at the same time, educating families, educating the mom, the dad, okay, now this life here, so you mama, you papa, you don't live. But now this life here, so you want for you picking? Probably they'll probably say no. But again, when you look the woman, she's probably following on to what the husband wants. And what the husband wants is for that, you know, the titi for make Igona farm go take casada or whatever, go sell, make the boy picking go. Actually, why is that okay? So it's about education goes along. When you educate people, it opens up their mind, it stimulates their mind, and it change happens. Basically, we have to educate people. That is the bottom line, educating people. But with that comes with how do I put it? You have to be brave in that to say, okay, you know what, enough is enough. You have to stand for something. And that means going against some really tough people, you know, going against what the government set out, actually saying that this is not the right thing. This is not the right way. This is not fair. This is not right. So, you know, so it all comes down to educating our people. So as Alima said, we you know, we have come a long way, but we still have, I mean, Sierra Leone has what, 6-7 million people compared to Nigeria that has what, I don't know, 160 million or something like that. We're country small, but why can we not move forward? Why are we always so behind? Why? I don't know.
Wow. Okay. So Alima, you've got a big task in your hands.
Well, we all have.
Just want to come back to Maria.
We all have.
I'll come back to Maria and say this is where giving the girl child alternative and making the family, so now that makes some of we now, rather than just focusing on the city, because there has been so much done in the city of Freetown. We want now to go to the rural place and letting because for so long, we don't, within we culture even, we they take the rural communities as the less of the level of Sierra Leone. After walking to say, oh, now in a village picking there. No.
So that's okay.
Village, city, there's no different. When we talk about equality and social mobility, whether you are in Kihanga or Kenema or you then have Freetown, Waterloo, there is no difference. The same provisions that are made in Waterloo should be made in Kenema, Hanga. So I think this is where we plead with the governments of Sierra Leone, we plead with policymakers there, where they come up with agendas then for prosperity or agenda for change, agenda for women's rights, empowerment, particularly this current legislation where the government, they look what they call GEWE, G-E-W-E, I don't know what it stands for, but I think it's gender equality, women empowerment or something like that. You know, let them take into account the needs of rural women, that rural women have a part to play in the same policies that are drawn up or drawn by the center or the city where Freetown is. Usually they make the policies for government, because Salon gets two system of operations, which for me personally has been a problem. So we get the formal settings where they always operate within Freetown, obviously the administrative side of the government. Then we get the traditional rural government where they happen within the paramount chief there, the traditional leader there. So I think for me, for bridge this gap with Maria to the talk about why there is no change happening amongst we sister then at the rural areas, I think whatever decisions is made in Freetown should correlate with whatever decisions are made in Blama when the chief na Blama go don't make that decision, so that we not go left no one behind, which is one of the big and tagline the UN they use, leave no one behind, because for so long decisions are made in one area for one set of group of people. We think we do one for the entire country. Sierra Leone is not Freetown. You understand? Sierra Leone is not Freetown. Freetown is just the city of Sierra Leone. And we should never be looking at the issues where they affect Freetonians, for be that we go affect women the within Abo. The lifestyle of women in Abo, the challenges, the needs, totally different from that in the city. So I think that's where we probably would need to work a little bit more, and with a call on everybody for help with this sort of job where we no more for do, but we all get for do them.
Thank you, Halima. Before I come to Anna, you say you drop some coin then we are pick. In terms of like the laws them and the information within the Guinea tongue, and then compared to the Huawei, then the G upline, so now two different things. And with Una young work as an activist, try for go na the way now na they pay more attention na the provinces for make sure say Una educates people and for make sure say they actually understand the reason why Una they do them kind here for say, okay, this is the 21st century. Let's forget about the 1960 something, the old days.
Lord,
how does this work?
Well, it's been a challenge, but currently there is talks in place. So then they review, for example, we have traditional laws, customary laws, for example, where they say a girl PQ 14 with the permission of her parents, then she married. It's within our constitution. It's a right that she is allowed to marry. Now that make Pikin upline they married, and before you make the community go say, well, under customary law, this Pikin can married as long as the mama and papa agree, the chief go sanction the married, then they go married. And there's nothing the formal law can do which says a child is somebody who's under 18. Under will formal laws, you're not allowed to marry under 18. Consent cannot be given. So we see this huge rise of child marriage, child pregnancy, because the customary law say that Pikin, once you don't pull Bobby, in fact, they say you age based on your Bobby, or when you see your first period, you don't turn woman. Now that make them they go put Pikin and Abono, because as you born Pikin, it don't fit for married. You're gonna some community, 9-year-old Pikin, they don't get a man for married. But you and I, 9-year-old, that's when they start even year 4, year 5. They've not started life. What will a child learn by going to Bondo Bush and becoming a woman? She's just a baby. So what will they do? And many activists there now, today I want to salute a lot of them, people here in Sierra Leone, we don't make this conversation so possible, because day in and day out, that they go into these rural communities and making sure that the families see an alternative in their girls. That actually in the wrong run, Papa, if you left your girl Pikin for go school, by the time we they don't school, we know say we girl Pikin go to the highest level, if self na class 7 or from 1 in tap, it more likely for make decisions that way go be long lasting for them. It not go get pregnant easily and quickly. It go stay, if they walk, it go stay longer than walk. It go make decisions when it is born in Pekin. So that in itself is good for the government. So now the conversation where we get that this part of the world, and we hope for transport that conversation to the south. So the north conversation is that showing to them family as say, there is economic sense in keeping girls in school, especially women. I like the phrase where Anna say, teach a child, you teach a nation. By educating a girl, you actually are educating the country, because there is so much wealth that comes out of keeping women. If you look at Salon, most of the money earned by the state, whether you look at informal employment or businesses, are run by market women. Not a man, they run business, boku business na woman there. You look at the formal setting now, woman they into petty trading, market. So there is that conversation that needs to take place, and this is why we they ask for get woman there into the decision making situations where we can make those decisions to say, I want my child to stay in school, not to papa no more for the side, but mama self can say, obey, mamu. Let me pick himself left now school, let go learn little bits, let we go get small tea, we go.
So we need for see more women them like who they see the likes of the Kadina parliaments and all that. So now
yes.
it's beginning to happen.
It's beginning to happen, yes.
Thank you, Alima. Thank you for that. Let me come to Anna White. You're obviously in the education part, and education in our country is a key role in our country where is very, very important. Where when you look at the population of people, just like what Alima mentioned, 70% are illiterate. So how education will actually, whose key role will education will actually play onto all this what we talk about?
Well, like what I talk about why, I just make some key points. You see, in Africa, in Sierra Leone, we have this belief that government is better than people. The government have the right to the privilege than the people that they're meant to be serving. We need to eradicate that. That's the first thing we need to eradicate that. We need to educate our community to know that the government serves us. We don't serve the government. So we're not happy to see the government driving around with a Range Rover and we are there clapping on the street, walking bare feet. We shouldn't be happy about that, so we need to, and it's all part of that education. And sometimes when we talk about education, most people think that you're talking academic. Me, I'm not talking academic. It's that common wisdom that we should all have to say that we have the power, not just, okay, we're talking about women today, but as a nation, we have the power to say, government, if you're not doing right by us, we have the right to take you out, so that we can have somebody who is going to cater for our needs. Another thing, specifically when it comes to education, I think it's an African thing. We're very boastful to say that like the president in Bikini, they go Oxford. We're very boastful to say that. You are in Sierra Leone and your government is sending their children abroad to study. And one thing that I've learned from this country, and I've learned it from this country, and I've seen it with my own eye, and we've all seen it. When there's any serving minister, when there's any serving prime minister in this country, their children go to a state school. It might be the best state school, but all their children, they go to the state school, a comprehensive school, whilst they're in government. When they're not in government, they tend to send their children back to private school. But whilst they're in government, all their children go to state school. Because if my government cannot put his child in the same school that I'm going to, then my government is telling me that the education system is not good enough. There's no question in that. There's no argument that any government can come with me about that. If your child is not going to the same school that my child is going to, then you know that the education that you have for me is not good enough. So maybe that's something as activists we can start lobbying for, that any serving minister, their children must go to the same comprehensive school as the laymen of the land, because then they'll learn to make. Because if the president's child is going to, I don't know, Battle Street Municipal School, he will make sure that Battle Street Municipal School is the best.
So, Alima, you get penny?
Yes. You understand me? He will definitely make sure that
I do
that
have
school
a
has
pen.
chairs,
Sadly,
has
they don't
pens,
go to
has
Battle School
books, has
Municipal, then they go
everything.
international, then they go American school. Of course, they're not going
You
to go to
understand?
the local school.
Even within the country, like you said, let's take Sierra Leone. The children will go to the Lebanese, to America, to British school. Why are they not going to Aniwatch, to Gansai school, to Prince of Wales? Why are they not going to those schools? Why are they going to a private school? There's nothing, I'm not saying, I'm not against it, but if you are a serving president, if you are a serving minister of my country, and you are choosing, you're making that choice to send your children because you are paying money, the money that I'm paying you, by the way, you are now paying to this private entity. It says a lot. So we need to value what we have as a nation. And another thing that I put down is unity. Unity, tribalism, looking after your own nucleus family. All of those things need to stop, and it's easier said than done. And there are so many people that are working in collaboration with different communities upline that song to try and to try and force that unity. And the saying is true. It's like you can't have too many cooks in the kitchen. It's impossible. It's impossible to have. So you cannot say the chief from Kenemakam, the chief from Boka, the chief from Kayaunka. You cannot say, okay, yeah, all these chiefs are coming and then they're going to come and be chief in this one group. It's impossible. We need to learn to say, okay, you are going to be the leader. And sometimes tooth and tongue may jam, but you know what? We're here for the greater good. So let's work together to support our nation. Education is just it's just that biggest issue that I think Africa has, and I'm not talking about academic. There's a lot to be said for vocational education, lobbying that any investors that come into our country, that they have to employ the community and they have to empower the community so the community is able to sustain itself, that it does not rely on that investors to survive. If I come into your country and I'm building a home and I employ all the boys that I employ, all the youths that I employ them as laborers, as plain laborers. Let them start getting the water, the bricks and whatnot. Eventually, that laborer will then become the engineer, the constructor. And then he can now have his set of laborers. And therefore, you are creating economic wealth within your community, that you do not rely on outsiders to come in to support you. That for me is what we need. That is the next step in education. And I know we've got all this tyranny going on in our government to say, oh, not a government, if he has money, if he wants to send his child here, if he wants to send his child there. It's nonsensical. You're spending how many thousands at Oxford University? That money is not in Sierra Leone. That money is coming to England. So how does that empower your nation? How does that empower our children? How does that help our children to value the country that they live in? To say that, you know what, I like being in Sierra Leone. I'm not looking for Auntie to buy me a ticket to go to the West. Let's get those governments, and if there's any government party listening there, I challenge you guys to place all your children in the same education system as the layman that you're asking to vote for you, so that you can tell them, you can look them in the eye and say to them, you know what, I believe in the education system. I believe in the free education for all. I believe in quality education for all. That is why I am sending my child to the same school as your child. I would like to see that from our government. Then I will strongly understand that, yes, they do believe in the free education system that they're trying to create, and that every child matters, and that every child deserves the same opportunity as their child, not because that they are in government, but because they are Sierra Leoneans, because they're Africans, because they're global citizens. They deserve the same thing that I'm teaching students here. It's the same thing that the children back in Sierra Leone deserve. That is my challenge to any government out there, or to any activist, or to anyone who knows of people in the government. Go around and ask them. Let's do a survey to see how many of their children are actually in public education. Then we can start the conversation about, yes, free education for all.
Wow, thank you. Alima, I hope you get your pen for write all them here, you know. This now another job for you.
Save the YouTube video, because it's a very, very good point that Hannah raised, because we did talk about equality, equal rights, equal access. So if we get the very people that we have elected, we don't say when other people I get for represent we, then when they go into power, or when they go for go do the job, they think about themselves and their immediate family, then we are all doomed. 7 million of us are doomed. It not me say because me in London, I'm afforded the comfort of London. My children will never ever experience the challenges that most children in Sierra Leone will face. Actually, I'm comfortable. Actually, I'm at a place where I go even describe myself as having privilege over most Sierra Leonean people there. But that not means I don't get the same passion for my fellow Sierra Leoneans. This work I've been doing since I was 6 years old, looking for other people, because I've grown at a home where my daddy and my mommy, I mean, get a little bit of money where go able to give me the comfort and lifestyle that we wanted. But you know what me daddy be they do? It they take within there, they say when I see them picking away in them pan body, they don't get much. So then if we not behave, then they take, if we misbehave, then they take what we forget, then go give them picky then they. And so for a long time, I was like, no, I won't forget it in a way go make her feel comfortable with the watch. Me, I be like watch where I be small. So I did do well in school because I want to get watch. I be like books, I like to read. So if me daddy not buy book or magazine for me, listen, I go do my homework, I go do all things just so I go get access to those things. So now being in the UK, I feel like, oh my God, actually, we are the better ones. Sierra Leone's challenge and Sierra Leone's crisis that they get is as a result of we were fortunate people. So we get forgive back to our country. So this call for change and somehow for me, it's a lifetime now. My commitment to Sierra Leone and the girl child, until I die, I want to inscribe them on me tomb and say, this woman worked for girls' empowerment and girls' education, because it was those very things that I saw was something so powerful then. It's what has been my tool now in terms of where I am, being articulate, being able to command my presence in my community, being able to speak on my truth. You know, because this is what power of education is. Not just like Hannah and Maria to they say, not to just the academic education, but is that just wisdom knowing this is right, this is wrong. You know, I need clean drinking water. Me picky at least go get a meal on the table for eat. You know, there are still Sierra Leoneans who cannot have a square meal per day. Pass them go for go sell 2 grana, 3 grana, 1 mango, 2. You know, that for me is something that was like in the 1900s. We're Britain, they don't come a long way. We still have that in 2021. So I think we're going to keep knocking on the politicians' doors and anybody we go listen actually, because it not just get for be down to activists them for demand this call for this change. Now that make the UN the help we now, because we've been calling for this change, but it's small pockets of people. How many activists, if you look in Barcelona, will not reach 1 million where they call for change all the time, for 7 million people. So we want now the 7 million people, particularly Sierra Leone is a country where almost, I think, 70% of the population are young people, very mobile young people with access to technology, access to mobile phones. Instead of that they use Facebook for the cost themselves or they fetch for politician, use that Facebook connection that you have and ask for what is yours. Because now they go vote for the politician there. I don't want to see young people fighting for APC, SLPP. Instead, go knock on your local parliamentarian and say, sir, will you be one that we vote for you? You say you go bring employment now. We look at Yile and township. From where they don't make you minister 20 years ago, we'll not get one job center self na Yile. We want job center na Yile. We want school na Yile. Because these are the promises these people, particularly men. If now woman they be appoint these kind of positions, first thing a woman will do will bring wealth to the community. But instead, our people take the wealth away from the community, bring and can at the likes of Switzerland in Geneva, bring and can to the UK, take and go America. Then before you know it, now that make now the World Bank, the IMF, even the UK banks now, the last year or the year before, then confiscate a Nigerian politician, we siphon money away from Nigerian people, can store in England. Yeah. That money can go to building school. That money can go into buying medicine for let people that not go die because of preventable illnesses like malaria. Because a lot of those things are money that should have been spent in making life better for our fellow citizens. But I am defending a politician. It's unfathomable, as white man say. I should not be defending a politician. I should be defending the common man where they sleep today. You go to Freetown. There are thousands of children. They sleep now, grown in a marketplace where they say end rape. Now the case they wouldn't they can report to we with the area. But you know how many girls are raped every single night in those market stalls? We cannot go to police for rape because we then go back now the police station for let them go bail them out. The policeman self go rape them. These are things that are happening. These are the realities, not the politics. Only now an organization called Advocate, they educate young girls who are into sex work. These are girls that are raped every single day for let them know their rights. Say, we don't need for pay money with it. Nobody should be paying when they arrest you. But this is also something that's taught to young people. We know they talk about these rights of civil rights, our individual rights as a people in our country. Because before Jack, we don't make politics don't take over almost everything in Sierra Leone. We have the right to demand for services from our elected officials, because these people made pledges in their manifesto, say this is what we are going to provide our citizens. We see they call for ending FGM. Nearly every human rights convention at the United Nations was signed by Sierra Leoneans. But however, when they go back home, they know they localize these policies. They just keep them in papers and folders and stick them in the shelf because there's nobody demanding for the change from these people. People don't see women's rights as human rights or that they need to act on it. So what we do as activists is say, no, sir, that file we don't go sign at Geneva in UN Women Conference, localize the policy, implement so that change will happen. If we know when you end violence in a community, you almost would end poverty, you would end inability and equality in that community. So many things could end just by ending violence alone. So, you know, there are other issues, but ending violence is key to a woman's success in the workplace, because even though we talk about FGM, but as Salona, we know domestic violence is very, very high in households. You just get for look the government EU statistics where they released last year, and I will ask every Sierra Leonean where they watch this program. If you look at that statistics, honestly, you will hold your head in shame, because that statistic, they tell you how many men are into, for example, relationships, multiple relationships, having unprotected sex. Now that make we get a high number of HIV and AIDS. You go look from that same report how people are not investing in education. There's so much we can learn from that basic booklet they know more. So today is that day where we want to bring everything into the forefront and say, let's act on these things. Avoid the tendency that we'd often get where we talk about things that really are irrelevant. You know, we got to begin to talk about meaningful conversations, the safe spaces for women there, where if you're a victim of domestic violence. Before Jack, you see people that don't share images of women the way they rape or whether they beat on social media without not thinking, say, actually, yes, a crime has occurred on this woman, but this woman also has a life after abuse. But people don't know the ask of consent. So there are so many things, attitudinal, behavioral, customs, traditions that really keep women behind. So we know they see women who come forward. Notice, if a female politician do wrong, oh my word, the whole country will go up. But the same man will commit the same kind of atrocities, but you don't see that. So we penalize women more. We shame women, even though women have been abused. The other day, I was so upset when they showed an image of a 2-year-old or even a 3-year-old baby. I don't know how old she was.
Yeah.
Just been a victim of rape. I asked this guy with Sharon at the thing. Oh, but they need for Sia. I said, seeing a child in that state, my brother, what would you gain? Rather, you take that information, go to the police and call for this to stop. But still, with the talk of ending rape, I've had in the last 6 months or 3 months alone, my brother, sleepless nights with a scream like we want change, but you go to the justice system, there is no equality for women.
Would empower women then.
There's no equality for women.
That's why we're celebrating this day for people
Yes.
like Unawe, people in the sea as a role model, and then let other women and believe say as the platform on a day right now, then SFK, but then that platform day. You know,
That's
we get few things to talk about tonight, but la bring come DJ Little, aka the Moses, because we've been doing all the talking and all that. And most get one two thing the way self one add on to this conversation about this day today. DJ Little, over to you, sir. You go sleep for, sir?
No, I'm having technical issues. That's the reason why. Can you see? You hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Loud and clear, sir.
I apologize for that. And I enjoyed the interesting conversation when it unfolded, and it's really going down very well. And for me personally, I think you're anchoring the program very well. I don't really have much to say. My question, what I want to put, but I don't want to take away from how the conversation, the flow, was to ask all the panelists then, looking at today's society and the progress that they make. Alima kind of don't touch on that. Well, all the panelists they don't touch on that. I want to ask this direct question: is do we still feel that women have authority in terms of the advancement where women don't make in today's world, basically?
So anyone can pick them up first.
Mayatu, all the panelists.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, yes. But I still think society as a whole have a lot to do to encourage more women to step up. Because so many women just feel that, oh, well, I'm just a woman, I can't make those important decisions. But actually, why can you not? Why? So it's a matter of society as a whole saying, okay, you're not just a woman who should be at home to look after the children, but actually you can make those important decisions too. You can stand up and say, actually, you know what? I don't agree with this, or I don't agree with that. Like in my job, okay, as professional as I can be, if I feel that I'm not being treated a certain way, I can speak up about it. Not in an aggressive way, but in an assertive way. And I put my point across professionally. And if I feel that actually you're not listening to what I'm saying, I'm going to go to whoever is above you. And I'm not afraid to do that. But a lot of the time, we're so, this fear is instilled in us that if you go and complain about something, nobody's going to listen because you're a woman anyway. For example, okay, women being sexually harassed in the workplace, they think it's just normal. I can't go to work with a nice dress, a tight dress on, or a nice miniskirt. That gives you an invitation to what? To say, oh yeah, she was asking for it, but how was I? And I can't complain about that. So it's about saying, you know what, actually, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not happy with this. And I'm going to make a complaint. And that's okay. So it's about not fearing actually to say that something isn't right and actually going for it.
Thank you. Why, Anna, you can pick them up for Musai Maya to stop as well, please, before I come to Alima.
Well, for me, I just feel as if that if you know that you have a voice and you have policies in place that supports your voice, then it is very easy for you to raise alarm. You know, you should be able to raise alarm about about uninvited treatment from unwanted proposition of any sort from a man or a woman, because we know that so many things are happening nowadays, you know. So I just think that we shouldn't be afraid. I keep on going, because maybe it's because of how I grew up, but I know that women, they like to say, oh, I know I make fuss. No, it's okay. He didn't mean to. He wouldn't do it again. No, it's okay. We always say that, and no one ever wants to make a fuss, because we're also scared that if we complain, we will lose our jobs. You know, like no one will believe us, and will be classified as troublemakers. So which will then lead to further drawbacks, say in terms of your career development or anything like that. You know, because we're afraid. I mean, look at Harvey Weinstein. It wasn't the first time that those women were complaining, but when they started complaining, no one was listening to them because he was so powerful and he had everyone fooled. Yeah, but it took like someone that was persistent, that probably lost their job, lost their career, but they still persisted for the world to hear the terrible crimes that Harvey Weinstein got up to, with so many women and children coming up in the acting profession. Look at Jimmy Savile. Okay, it take people that were willing to sacrifice. Not that we should, but sometimes that's what it means. If you truly believe in what you're saying, you shouldn't necessarily be thinking about, okay, you know, I might not be able to feed my kids tomorrow because I don't want to lose my job. It just takes one voice to just start shouting out the loudest, and someone will actually listen and help you to ensure that you have that equality that we absolutely deserve. We absolutely deserve in this world. And I don't want any woman to feel afraid. I mean, in education settings, what they say is that, you know what, if a child makes a complaint, yeah, make a big deal about it. It's better to make a big deal about it, and it turns out false, than it is to say nothing and it's something actually really, really big. So let's not be afraid to make a big deal when we see something that's unjust, and just fight for our right. And also, as sisters, if I come to you and complain about XYZ, I want you to just have my back, you know, help me go through that process, so that if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, hey, I might have saved so many others along the way. So I think it goes back to that unity.
Thank you, Anna. Yes, Alima, you can throw lights on that question we DJ Little asked, please.
Yes, of course. And Anna and Mariatu don't touch exactly. And I think this is where our work now, for example, around FGM. So for the conversation around FGM, we don't place that highly within the space of harmful traditional practice. Because sadly, that Salone, not so long ago, if I just use England, for example, 20 years ago in England, if you experience domestic violence, you go to police, you go report the situation, then they tell you, say, oh, this is a civil matter. It's got nothing to do with the police. Shove you and get you off your way. 40, 50 years ago, if you're not a woman or you get belly, you're not married, you born Pekin, then they take either you Pekin, they put her into foster care, or they send her and go Australia, or you the mama then go put you in a what they call a mother and baby unit, because then they see you like an outcast of the community. You not belong with a married woman than they. But guess what? A lot has changed. And so now that same principle they back with the bring now we young community in Africa usa will come out, we country the usa will come on Africa for say, because sadly back to me Tiwabi start off with na Salone. customary law. Just 4 or 5 years ago now, and Escoma bring that law there were women where man go there with, they go there for a long time. Then they married, woman are not being get right to property. Where your man died and they touch you bundle, they push you, they kick you, and you pick in there on a common at the house. Not so long ago, women now they even enter certain parts of the community in Sierra Leone. For example, if Creole woman say they want to go settle uplines, they say they go live na ile, then they put bondo in they able go near day because they say Creole woman and all. So cultural beliefs are one of the things that we try for look into getting people to understand that a lot of these belief system, they keep women them out of spaces where we need to have advancement. You know, back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, if you get belly, you go for go born, you manage to enter hospital. But so that may they bring challenges for women, the way they come back now home in raising children, because the man they say, it's your job to look after the child. But now women and they go to labor ward, then they see how women and they suffer for born picking. Not only are they not just loving the women for seeing that the women have gone through so much pain, they are loving their children in turn. And in a way, it's a societal effort that the government too can put into being so that people will appreciate one another in relationship, valuing one another, having that equal respect for human life. Because women, at the end of the day, they suffer in a salon. So women, they will go work all day just for maybe make 20,000 leon. Then we go don't cook now. Also, don't serve a man. Woman get for serve a man. You go see and that's 20,000. The way you go don't cook, then go beat them back again. Then we go lay complaint to a mama. Eh, now for be how you know say that this man be don't come married. He don't put we come on a makeni. He don't bring we kind of free. So now that make you picking for suffer for the rest of your life, to torment. You know, so we got to understand that there is depth in human pain and suffering. Human rights, a violation of a woman's right is the destruction of the society at large. Where women they suffer, the country will remain poor. Now that make I personally, me, Alima to the Monikeni believe, say why is Sierra Leone poor? Because we have not put women in a place of respect and valuing the rights of women. So we cannot attain because when they refer to the world, for example, nature, Mother Nature, you have to show care, you have to show love and respect for human beings. But you don't go to Konote and see how women they deliver babies. Most appalling situation, the labor ward not clean. If you don't already come through life in that kind of a situation, what respect would you have for me when I'm older? You understand me? So I think for me, I use social human connections for bring us to the heart of the situation and why we always talk on ending violence, even in this current UN declared day of International Women's Day. There is an issue of ending violence because violence, we see during the Civil War, the amount of death and suffering and violation that women then go through. The Ebola come, na woman and die pan and back again. We they go through Corona right now, where many women again, the mayor of Freetown just talked the other day about women then are the market woman, they not get access for sell their wares there. You know, we start to look, maybe soon we go get things like starvation. I don't know. But we then look ahead and making sure we put things in place and respond to that kind of situation here. We have to begin to see the status of women in our society. What do women bring to the table? They bring a lot more, and we get left for fear women. Salon man feel say where woman get power with a turn power we man then. No. In fact, it's the other way around. We see when women compliment men, how powerful and successful men become. So just giving a woman that opportunity for see themselves in the bigger picture, for see that there are opportunities for we girl picking in our school. That way they go school, teacher they not go force them for sleep with them, just so no more, then go pass for go now Form 5. Or when they go for a college, the professor then go get for say before you pass you degree, I get for sleep with you first. Or minister, sexual harassment is not just in sort of politicians. Before I give you symbol, you get for be my girlfriend. You know, all of these things, we don't want to say it, but it's the reality of a Sierra Leone. You know, that women are seen as objects rather than equal partners partners to the game. We bring more value or even better value sometimes than our male counterparts. So we then get for look that there is something we bring rather than we just can't wait, we will be there and we waste there, we tie lapa, and then we sit on a veranda. We will all more like in Santigi. Now,
Wow.
you know?
Alima, just before I interrupt you, Hannah, from you talking, for you today, this International Women's Day, for you, it's not a day for celebration, it's a day for reflection.
Yeah.
Yes.
For you,
it's a day for reflect and also for touch on the nerves of people in general and say, if we can talk about these things in this way and say, this is what has been our problem as women. So therefore, we need una help. Nadame, I could not resist this request, DJ Ish and DJ Little, as I get the call, I say, because I'm beginning to see that change in our men and our brothers, because allowing us this space is one of the most powerful things you guys have done, because otherwise we would not ever have had this conversation. Because here I am, I'm far older than Mariato, I'm far older than Hannah, but I'm sharing my experiences, and I love the fact that they hear us. We're now going to become sisters them in this firm of greatness of Sierra Leonean women there. We were cool, but because people they not be ever they see we, and I'm glad it's today I see me brother Dr. I can call myself
the legend.
King Masco, no, King Masco, and the that's what we'll get for P.I. Boku. King Masco entertained us during the Civil War, and Sierra Leoneans, then that make I can vex, I can even feel emotional where I can hear people that what you wanna they do for we. Well, let me tell you something, my brother. During the Civil War, we not be days alone. We may I don't tell I don't care England, but in my early days, I swear to God, me auntie be there near Dalston, just I forget the street name, but obviously King Masco installed there just opposite the junction. So
that's right.
Then I feel like I'm in Sierra Leone, and they feel like say, oh my God, I don't come free to, I don't come inside Funkia Junction. I didn't see all them. You know, we go to up there, they keep competing. Let me
that's correct. That's right.
This one, I'm not in it. But
you're
you
right,
know,
you're absolutely right.
We haven't lost anything. That's like 30 odd years ago. My daughter turned 29 just yesterday, and I was saying to her, I said, oh my God, I don't think that this country, we didn't look for go back home. But would I not say for other person, you know, honestly, I like the comfort of all the things that the UK has afforded me. I'm not going to go live for money again. I don't tell nobody lie. You know, so if we start to say, I do not want this for myself, no. We want change. I want to go to a supermarket, I go buy fresh milk for give me pikine because I did my buruka. But anything fresh, na free to no more. No. Sorry.
Thank you, Alima. Thank you for that. Well, viewers, this program they come out from Diaspora Voices. Welcome, King Masco. King Masco, I know you come late, but the program tonight, as you join the ladies, they talk about celebrating Women's International Day, Women's International Day as we celebrate them. So what's your take? Just a quick one, sir.
Well, from the few info that I don't get so far, as Little will tell you, it comes under the heading we all preach all the time, under education. Yes. You see, and giving them gentlemen, and they, as I mentioned, for go Connaught Hospital, or Cottage Hospital, for go witness where woman and they give back. All that education, awareness, you see. And so now their own attitude and everything will change from the original perception where they get before. Because if they not be know, now so they go continue for the take advantage in all the different sectors then. So when they don't know now, they don't learn, and then the conscience don't prick on them. And I don't give the woman them another platform for say, hey, not all a normal day before, we self can go before, and we can actually handle the situation better than the man that we've been there before.
That's
because
right.
Under the heading of trust, me go tell you now, say they are more trustworthy than us, the men.
Yes.
You know? Yes, they are. And also hardworking as well. Yes. And when they say that they put their heart and soul into something, they definitely do that. 100%. Yes. So for they recognize them and appreciate them, thumbs up to them.
Thank you, King Masco. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. I can come back to DJ Little, aka the Moses.
I think Hannah get question.
Yeah, Anna, go on.
Sorry, I want to come back to this thing. I think say Armando agrees say with this empowerment of women, it's all about education and all its different facets that it takes, not just the academic, but the vocational, the wisdom. And we are talking a lot about Sierra Leone, but I just want to draw back our attention to where we are. You know, we are in the West, and our children are afforded some of the best education facilities and educators that there are in the world. For our Sierra Leonean girls, children in general, but for our Sierra Leonean girls, you know, in order for us to make use of that education system that we have been afforded in the West, we need to take advantage of the education system. We need to take advantage in order that we're now able to transfer those skills back to Sierra Leone. Just as much as the government and the activists, we as diasporian, we have a greater benefit in ensuring that we take all these skills that we've learned back home, so that our family are not wanting the life of the West, that they can be content in knowing that whatever education, food, whatever it is that the West can afford, we are getting that same thing back home in Sierra Leone, so that we don't have what's name called a big yai. So we not big yai for vets for go America, England, and so on and so forth. So to all those girl child out there, I want you to really think about and just ask yourself the question: are you making? You have to be honest with yourself. Are you making full use of what is afforded to you in the West? Are you making full use of it? Are we taking the education system seriously? Are we making sure when we go to school that we're coming out with the best grade possible that we can? Are we making sure that we are engaging with the education system? Are we making sure we're engaging with our teachers? Are we making sure we're engaging with our lecturers? You know, to ensure that we come out with the best that we possibly can. Not everyone can get grade 9s. Not everyone can get first class. But are we doing the best that we possibly can? And as parents to those girls, are you supporting those girls to make sure that they are getting the best that they can possibly get out of this education system? Because believe me, I will be gone. And I say to my friends, because I have this debate all the time, because this is my passion. When I want to know how a country will be, say like in the future, I will go to the 6-year-old and I'll ask that 6-year-old some questions. Just see what the 6-year-old comes out with. I'll go to a 12-year-old that's just entering secondary school. Just hear what that 12-year-old has to say. Go to the 18-year-old who is now becoming the adult, who is now going into the workforce. What is that 18-year-old have for them in their future? Because if that 18-year-old does not have an idea of what they're becoming, of what or what is afforded to them, then you know that as a nation of which we already of where we are, that's the situation that we're in right now, Sierra Leone. We are in deep trouble because many of our youths, they don't have no head, they don't have no tail. They don't know if they're coming, they don't know if they're going. They don't know they don't know they don't know where their food is coming from next. Let's just go back to basic. They don't know where they're laying their head, you know. So when we're talking about this International Women's Day, how are we as parents, as guardians of our future leaders, how are we empowering all those people, all those children, to make sure that they will reap the benefit that what we are trying to sow right now? Because we are sowing, like Auntie just said, there are so many of us out there in our own little bubbles, in our own little corners that are trying to do so much for Mama Salon. But you know, when we are no longer here, what legacy have we left for our children so that they can now be outstanding global citizens? Me, I'm not even looking towards Sierra Leone. I want you understand? I want us to be outstanding citizen, global citizen. I'm sure like most of you got the messages on WhatsApp about what Sierra Leone was in the stage of the in the stage of the world in terms of better education, train service, hospital services. We all got that messages on WhatsApp. I want Sierra Leone to be back there. I want Sierra Leone to be back there. But we need to educate those girls now. We need to empower those parents. We need to make sure that our ministers that we elect to govern us understand that they are there for us. They're not there to reap their benefits and then squander all their money in Europe, where probably they will take the money from them anyway, so they'll never see it. You know.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you.
Our people invest.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you guys. Listen, this conversation no go done, and I hope and pray that we actually, they say thank you for having Alima as well, who is an activist, and I'm sure everything we don't talk about tonight, there's key information where Alima add to in book where you go make sure say it work on. But before I round up, now just give an opportunity to we brother Kimasco for talk about your event tomorrow, and then
on Sunday.
Wrap up.
Sunday.
Yes, actually it's the Mother's Day celebration, the annual event. This is the 6th year, and it will take place on Sunday. And fortunately for me, I get Malek UA, they support me. Then I get the big man himself, the Moses, you know, when I little as the MC. Then I've got the DJ, and we've got several other different acts just for celebrate Mother's Day on Sunday the 14th. And then they luckily again, as I say, I have to bless Sierra Gem. They broadcast them live. So they go out live on Facebook, and the Zoom information, they come out tomorrow. So it will circulate all around. So that more or less like a musical package for all the women then. Yeah, because they deserve it.
I know.
They don't work so hard. Yes.
I know. Thank you very much, King Masco. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure having you guys. Mariatu, before I go to Alima and Anna for say the last word, what's your advice to other women as we celebrate this day today?
I think it's definitely a chance to reflect as a woman on the past and enjoy this moment now, but also at the same time, try and empower yourself. And if you have a daughter or even like nieces, try and empower them. Try and think, okay, what tool can I give to this young person? What tool can I give to this young girl that tomorrow they will be able to use to stand firm in this society? Because growing up a few years back to what I see now, it's going to be tough if parents don't stand firm and teach their children. It's going to be really difficult. And I just want the mothers, you know, to really think about what legacy they're leaving behind for their children, especially their daughters. How will their children cope and manage in this society without their mother standing by them? So it left to we the woman them for really put a positive impact on them.
Thank you. Very important. Thank you. Anna, I'll come back to you, and just for wrap up, what's your message out there to other women? Obviously, they represent, you know, like I say earlier on, they step in the shoes of what they do, some man they able do am. No disrespect, but hey, we get forgive the praises where praises are due. So what's your message? On mute, Anna. Anna, you're on mute.
So my message to women out there, women in the diaspora of Sierra Leonean women, is that I am your sister. I'm not. I am here for us to work together. I'm very rigid in what I stand for. Me, it's all about education, and I want people to empower their children and their surrounding. When we have dialogue, let's make our dialogue meaningful. You know, like today, it's been absolutely a pleasure us being here, having this conversation. You know, we haven't gone round in circle. You know, we've all made meaningful points that we're all going to take back into our little community and try and see how we can develop that. Let's make sure that when we come together as Sierra Leoneans, that it is meaningful dialogue that we're having that's going to empower our girl child, that's going to empower the diasporans, that's going to empower Sierra Leone. The legacy that Mariatu talked about, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, I mean, in 20, 30 years' time, there'll be something else to replace them. But I'll tell you what no one can ever replace is education. That could never be replaced. Okay, it's something that we need to stand firm for. You know, it seems as if that is a far cry. I mean, especially right now with COVID and everything else that we're seeing in the world. Let's educate our children so that we can build a brighter nation. So that when someone say I am a Sierra Leonean, they say that we're all so proud. You know, that we know that we're coming from a place that we understand that we are in the diaspora. We all are planning to do something greater back in Sierra Leone, so that Sierra Leone stand amongst giants that it once was. So I am your sister to the Sierra Leonean ladies out there. I'm open for collaboration. I'm here to support. I'm a mathematician, so I'm here to support your children with mathematics. I'm a busy woman, but I always find time somehow when it comes to education. So please, let's come together and let's build Mama Salon. Educate a child, build a nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you. Why? I will come out to we own activists. Halima, what's your last word to the people, to the women as in general?
Well, today I just want to say, because sometimes it always looks so gloomy, so sad, so like, oh my God, we just keep fighting. Actually, we can smile. There are good things ahead. And I think for me, I want to use a phrase where I don't use for the past couple of weeks that is now, where we rise by lifting others. One of the things, because for many years I stayed away from the Sierra Leone community, because why? I could not deal with the drama, because there's so much in life that I should be sort of faffling around with drama.
They go fend you, not so bring you car. You know they go fend you.
Well, una na my brother then, so I'm not going to run away, especially with you and DJ Little. You know, I can't say no to you guys, and that's because I love what you guys are doing. And obviously, you are supportive of the community, and this is where my point now they come to say, listen, for we get the opportunity and know so much, because for me, it's like I have so much ideas flooding in my head. Anything where I feel will better me at the jump into it. And for some strange reason, I learn fast. You know, currently I was a governor of a secondary school, a big academy school. And for me, it's always going places and demanding for my seat on the table, because I find out, say as the school not being get a Black ethnic minority person. So I'm like, well, how's that possible? You know, this is inner London. We can forget somebody we look like me. You get picking away the Canada school, we look like me. I wanna not go get a governor in you know, leadership where they represent the children. So I positioned myself in there, and actually I've done a great change. So, but I never thought I could do much for Sierra Leone, because Sierra Leone was always this place where they always feel like, say, anything we want to do, somebody go try to pull you down. And I just could not stand that, because I just think, what's the point? But now I'm at that place, obviously maturity don't come, Pikida don't be, Grand Pikida don't come along. I owe Sierra Leone that much. So as a collective, as women, let's come together. We are always gonna have our differences, but we are gonna be united by the strength that we bring to the table. Let's look into the best of us. We all get it. I can't wait to come off here and say, how could I connect with Maria? Because social workers are the key to the work I do. How can I get in contact with Hannah? Because we're seeing a Black ethnic minority, particularly children from Africa, are not doing so well in school. And this pandemic, sadly, we were not doing well to begin with. And this pandemic don't come put we. So Boku we pick it be the land from us. So if you have a mind, Papa will not go to school. How you go teach you picking key stage 1, key stage 2? What were you teaching your children? So and then imagine, these are just deprived families. Who said they're able to afford, at least they will get television and will get laptop, they will pick it and go to watch. But did you know, I was shocked how many parents they not get even laptop, pick it be the land from mobile phone. Pass what we get for the ask for Microsoft and Apple for giving laptops and let them go educate and pick in there. So we are going to see other challenges. Yes, Sierra Leone need us at the moment, but I would say in the next 6 months, please, if you are a parent, not just women there, in fact, we also get Salon Papa there now, when a single fathers them, reach out as a community person. We not get for share your detail, because one of the things I discovered also, why we people they need to seek help, the fear that when you can't tell Alima digitally to go, no, everything will not happen at my house. We should stop that. Because first of all, if person can't talk to we about in concerns the way he gets, it means they don't trust we, they don't get confidence in we. Let's reach out and see what we can do for those communities. So for me, this year, 2021, is to see how best we can write that letter to the local council and say, this person in an accommodation way, overcrowded, damp, the Pekin not get access to good quality materials for school. How can we bring that help to that parent? So I think if we begin to talk this language and not just always about the things that are insignificant on social media, we they pollute the air, we need to give people an opportunity for think out of the box. That makes so much aggression on social media against one another. Sometimes I just step back a little bit and I say, could you actually find out what exactly one of the effects for? Half the 10 are just pass it. This one say, Maya to for the chicken go over the fall go over the chicken. And he said, is that it? So the chicken not even lay the egg yet, so but when I don't fit, still not fit. Chicken not lay the egg yet. Let's begin to find value in each other and love women. We love each other. I love women and girls. You go tell me say this person don't be bad. But as I look, I say, that girl picking the plumber done. I cannot be mad at women because we need each other. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you ladies tonight. Listen, Alima, we go for create a program. We'll go bring Una back. So actually, just can talk about
we have got to come back anyway. I can't let go Maria too, and I can't let go Hannah and you. I go get for tag along.
Hello. Because I'm bad at maths. Thank you very much, guys, for taking your time. Yeah, go on.
Yes. Okay, guys. I'm gonna. Do you mind if I just use your platform just to reach out for some help for my charity?
1 minute.
Okay. Yes. So I am currently in the process of furnishing a library in Sierra Leone, and I'm looking for donations. I know money is tight, so I'm just looking for books, quality books, resources that can go into a library, because hopefully by the end of this year, we should have a fully functional library that is free for kids to access in. Obviously, na salon na free tongue at the auntie, but I gave me other auntie Hannah. We're building another library as well, upline. So if we have any furnishing, if anyone there wants to donate, I know like the schools have the old computers because everyone is the laptop now. So if you have those, if you have utensils, some kind of equipment that we can use, please do get in touch. But I want the quality stuff. I don't want anything that, because I want the library to have like quality things in there. Like I said, I don't want our kids to want for what's in the West. I'm trying to give them the
drop us your details, then we can tweet, we can go on. I'm also fundraising for talk about the environment and women and girls. I go work in 2018 at a place now, Kenema called Mondema, where women could not even write their name, my brother. Older women in their 40s, 50s could not write their name. Imagine you need Adama, you can't spell Adama. So at a fundraise with 2 other organizations in Sierra Leone, this is also to say, because often they say we na the diaspora, which one they do for we? Well, actually, I don't need for this Sierra Leone for make an impact. But through my laptop, my mobile phone, my WhatsApp, my Facebook, I can do so much more. So at a raise fund, £5,000 is all I need to raise fund to get £10 for 500 girls, so £10 each. We go provide them with a dignity kit, and in that dignity kit, there will be a reusable, I emphasize on the reusable sanitary pads, a knicker, because people don't even brush their teeth. Can you imagine brushing of your teeth? In America, if you get crooked teeth, England, we accept we eat it black. We know they complain. But in America, it's a health hazard. It's a public health issue. You got to brush your teeth. We go put toothpaste there, toothbrush, and we go give them a booklet of the access to information where we they talk about who say you go for go reports if they rape you. But people they will find us in another who say na FSU, they don't know that the police, na the community where they in charge for arrest criminal. All they know is the minister they can't tomorrow. We want to change the narrative there and go into the right places. So a girl at the time is doing that. But Hannah, let's connect, because we could use different platforms for bringing awareness to, because I never do fundraising. This is my first time ever. And I've learned so much ways in people for, because I had we popular media personality, Vicky Ramon, donated 300 sanitary pads. But not only that, it donates close to $3,000 that we've received so far. So that's even a lot, but we still need the 5,000 because that's the original donation that we're looking for. But that one, they don't already go. So girls were given the pads this weekend, and we're happy about that. But I did that through social media, which is so powerful for us to be using for develop ourselves with skills, you know, not to just Facebook. There's so much more. I build websites. In fact, I offer 2 women, from the Sierra Leone community where they watch this program. You go ask the question, DJ Ish, if they can answer that question, I would help personally to build their website where go represent them brand. How about that?
No, that's fine. So
Auntie, that's how we do it. I so Auntie.
we have
That's how we do that.
we have a program tomorrow. We have a program tomorrow. So we'll put that there on the table.
So 2 women.
I know we did so, but you know what? We have
you
to
guys
share.
will have to go head to head with the public. So we'll bring that tomorrow. So once again, I just want to say thank you guys. Alima, Anna, Maria, to go find a special program as well for bringing Una back. But Una, thank you. And so we legend.
Sorry, Ishmael. Sorry, motherhood calls.
Thank you very much. AKA the Muslims.
Bye, guys.
Thank
and
you
tell him we'll talk
for everything. Thank you. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.